Are you a home buyer who's left in the lurch? You are invested, you have in fact invested your money, but because of the erring builders defaulting on their loans, you are the one who's bearing the brunt. Now, there's some good news for you. In its latest ruling, the Supreme Court has prioritized the interests of the home buyers in case of a conflict between real estate companies and banks. Now, what this means is if an erring builder has to pay back both the banks as well as the home buyers, then it is the home buyers who will be paid first. Now, to discuss this important development that has been brought to fore, I have with me on the broadcast Shri Tej Pandey, who is the president of Grahak Panchayat, and also joining me is Mr. Anish Agarwal, who is a Supreme Court lawyer. Mr. Agarwal, I'll begin with you first because the Supreme Court has in fact intervened, and it is said that the interest of the home buyer reigns supreme.
Yes, this position has to be taken because invariably when a builder is trying to construct some tower, the land may be mortgaged in favor of the buyer in a lot of in favor of the banks and other financing institutions in a lot of case. So in case the builder defaults, normally under RERA, the buyers would be entitled to approach the real estate regulatory authority and then get construction of their flats. However, in case the banks or other financial institutions enforce their loan and their amounts which are due, then they, in the respective financing laws, have the power to take possession of various assets of the person who has taken loan, which may also include the project as such. So in case the project is taken by the financing institution, nothing is left with the home buyers and there'll be no remedy. So there was an inherent conflict between the Real Estate Act, the RERA, as well as various financing acts which are meant to protect the buyers and financing institutions, because we have to bear in mind that the money with these financing institutions is also mostly comprises of money of the public as such, because these are deposits which have been given by the people of citizens of the country. So interests of both have to be protected. However, in this case, it has been held that the interest of the home buyers will be having a primacy over that of banks, and at least the property of the project has to remain with the under the control of the Real Estate Regulatory Authority in case the project has to be completed by them.
Right, Mr. Agarwal, stay on with me. I'm also joined by Shri Tej Pandey. Mr. Tej Pandey, this must be coming across as a big relief. This ruling by the Supreme Court was very important. It is also a big respite for millions of home buyers who are at the lurch and who are at the mercy of these builders or big defaulters as far as the money is concerned. All right, your mic seems to be on mute, Mr. Tej Pandey. If you can unmute yourself.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, what I mean to say is that this is a welcome judgment and it settles the law point, which was a bit ambiguous. And now this is a legal interpretation given by the Supreme Court, and which says that the RERA will prevail over the Surface Act. You see, there was a clash of interest between the creditors like banks and the financial institutes on one hand and the home buyers on the other hand. And when the clash of interest between the two occurs, what will prevail or what should prevail? Because there were conflicting laws. Surface law was there on one hand, IBC is there on the other hand, and RERA is there. So Supreme Court has reconciled with this legal position and set at rest the issue or the controversy, and this is definitely advantage home buyers.
Also, I'll come to you now, Mr. Agarwal. The fact that the Supreme Court has also directed the states that the rules enforced under RERA are also complicit with this particular decision that the court has ruled, so that it is not going against the home buyers, that is also very significant.
Certainly, and when a judgment has been made, that is like an ancillary aspect. When a judgment of the Supreme Court has been pronounced, that automatically is incorporated into all the laws of the country. So the best part is that now the banks and financing institutions should take a cue from this and not have a security on the assets of the project, at least, which will streamline all the rights of various parties. And the banks should not look at taking the project, taking the land on which the project has to be constructed. And at least it is a very welcome move that, at least as far as the project land and project property is concerned, rights of the home buyers have certainly do have a lot of primacy, and they will prevail.
Also, Mr. Deshpande, how do you see this proceeding on ground after the Supreme Court ruling? Because the centre has to ensure that this is done.
Are you talking about the model agreement, or because there are two
Yes.
recent judgments? Now, model agreement
Yes.
thing also is a very interesting development and a judgment coming from Supreme Court. Of course, it's not a final order, but the way Supreme Court has been dealing with this is definitely going all out to protect the interests of the home buyers, and particularly as we know that the agreements for coming from the buyers, I mean, coming from the developers or the builders, have been always heavily tilted in favor of the developers and the builders, and they are one-sided, arbitrary. And Supreme Court has been trying to protect the interests. Now, RERA Act has actually the central rules, which were treated as a sort of a model rules, but it was found that states are not following this, and there have been no straight rules as far as the agreement for sale is concerned. And Supreme Court has directed now the central government to take the initiative. Somehow in the beginning, the Ministry of Home, Housing and Urban Development was found reluctant, but Supreme Court is still pushing them to see that the model agreement in the state rules is there in place, and that model agreement takes adequate interest of the home buyers into consideration, and it is not a lopsided or arbitrary or one-sided in favor of the developers. So that's a very welcome step, and Supreme Court must be complimented for that.
All right, Mr. Shri Tej Pandey and also Mr. Anish Agarwal, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast.